From the ruins of the past, I follow the echoes of time.
The Echoes of Time with Adnan.
Midnight. The final second of the year trembles in the air, all across the planet. From New York's blazing skyline to Tokyo's glowing harbor, fireworks explode like falling stars. The world erupts in cheers. Glasses rise, strangers embrace, lovers kiss. For one breath, humanity moves as one heartbeat. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, why do we do this? Why do billions of people around the world stop their lives at the exact same moment, year after year, to celebrate the turning of a page in time? It feels instinctive, as if it has always been this way. But the truth is far stranger, far older, and far deeper than the glowing numbers on your screen. The story of New Year's Day is a story of civilizations, of empires, faith, and power. It is the story of how humanity learned not just to measure time, but to start over. Our journey begins not in the modern world, but 4,000 years ago, in ancient Babylon, a city rising from the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. There, long before the calendar, before Christ or Caesar, the people celebrated Akitu, the first recorded New Year festival in human history. It began each spring when the fields turned green again after the floods. The air filled with incense, and the temples of the gods opened for 12 days of ritual and renewal. It wasn't about fireworks or countdowns. It was about survival, about honoring the rhythm of nature. The king himself would be stripped of his royal robes and forced to kneel before the high priest, who would slap him hard across the face, a test of humility. Only when the king wept, proving his sincerity before the gods, was his crown returned. In that act, the Babylonians declared, "Even power must be reborn." Akitu was more than a festival. It was humanity's first whisper of a truth that still guides us today, that to begin again, one must first let go. Thousands of years later, that same desire for renewal found its home in Rome, the heart of an empire obsessed with order, time, and control. The early Roman calendar was a mess. Months drifted through the seasons, and festivals arrived at random, until one man decided to rewrite time itself. In the year 46 BCE, Julius Caesar introduced a new system, the Julian calendar, aligning months with the solar year. He chose January 1st as the start of the new year in honor of Janus, the god of beginnings and endings. Janus was no ordinary deity. He had two faces, one gazing into the past, the other looking toward the future. On the first day of January, Romans decorated their homes with evergreen branches, exchanged coins and dates dipped in honey, and swore oaths of better conduct. Soldiers prayed for victory. Merchants prayed for fortune. Citizens promised change. And in the glow of oil lamps, they lifted their eyes to Janus, the guardian of thresholds, asking him to open the right doors in the year ahead. When you make a resolution today, you are echoing a vow once whispered in the marble streets of Rome to a god whose temple stood with doors that were only closed in times of peace. Then came a different empire, the Empire of Faith. As Christianity spread across Rome, the church saw the old celebrations of Janus as pagan idolatry. The new faith sought to sanctify time itself, to make every day a reflection of the divine. For centuries, New Year's Day was moved and banned. In some regions, the year began on March 25th, the Feast of the Annunciation, marking the angel's visit to Mary. In others, it began on December 25th, the day of Christ's birth. The calendar fractured, the meaning blurred. Yet the people, farmers, merchants, sailors, quietly kept their own traditions alive. In secret or in spirit, they still celebrated the turning of the year, lighting candles against the darkness, whispering prayers of hope. Because no decree, no church, no empire could erase the human need to begin again. By the 16th century, Europe's timekeeping had gone astray. The old Julian calendar, imperfectly aligned with the sun, had drifted 10 days off course. Seasons no longer matched the months. Easter wandered across the calendar like a lost pilgrim. So, in 1582, Pope Gregory III issued a bold correction, the Gregorian calendar. He erased 10 days, declaring that October 4th would be followed immediately by October 15th. A whole week vanished overnight. The Pope's astronomers realigned the months with the stars, restoring balance to heaven and earth. But many nations resisted. Protestants called it a papal conspiracy. England and its colonies, including America, refused to accept the new calendar for nearly 2 centuries. Only in 1752 did Britain finally surrender to time's correction. That year, 11 days were erased from history. People rioted in the streets, shouting, "Give us back our days!" But the date of January 1st endured, not for gods or kings, but for humanity itself. For the first time, the world began to share one common rhythm, a single moment of renewal that would one day circle the entire globe. Fast forward to 1904, New York City. The industrial world was roaring to life. Electric lights, steel towers, and locomotives. The editors of the New York Times decided to celebrate their new skyscraper, the tallest in the city, with fireworks. The crowd loved it. 2 years later, when fireworks were banned, the paper created a new symbol, a glowing sphere made of iron and wood, illuminated by 100 incandescent bulbs. At exactly midnight, it descended from the tower's flagpole above Times Square, marking the birth of a new kind of ritual. That first ball drop in 1907 transformed an ancient act into a modern spectacle. Light replacing fire, the mechanical replacing the celestial. And when television arrived, decades later, the moment spread across the world. One by one, time zones awakened in sequence, a wave of joy traveling east to west, wrapping the earth in celebration. But behind the confetti, behind the champagne and neon lights, lies a truth older than civilization itself. New Year's Day is not just a date, it's a story, a mirror of our endless longing to start again. From Babylonian kings stripped of power, to Roman generals swearing oaths before Janus, to modern souls watching fireworks in the night sky. The desire is the same, to believe that tomorrow can be better. Time doesn't really reset. The earth doesn't stop turning, but we do. We pause. We look backward and forward. We forgive. We hope. We begin again. And that pause, that breath between one year and the next, may be the most human moment of all. So when the next year arrives and the world counts down to midnight, remember, you are standing in a tradition that began under starlit skies thousands of years ago, a ritual that has crossed empires, survived religions, and endured time itself. You are part of the same story, the story of renewal, the story of humanity's heartbeat.